This is our programmer's model. We need to update it, and what the updates are, we know about everything in here, but we're adding, hang on, oops, hang on. We're adding these three registers here. Okay, so these are three 32-bit registers. They have a really common name, which is CSR. You see this name out there a lot. It's a control and status register. So that's the idea. I mean, you could think of it as they control things and they show the status of things, I guess, so you don't have to memorize this or anything. But anyway, there's three registers there. But one of them, these two right here are going to hold addresses, and we'll talk about that, what they exactly hold. And this is truly a status register, and you can see the status register sitting there. So the MEPC, well, it's going to hold the PC. MTVEC, it's going to hold the address of that special subroutine I call. And status register is going to tell me, it's going to allow me to control the interrupts. So really the control register is the M status register. So these are all embedded in this device. This is something that's given to you, known to work on this thing. You can see the MEPC come out of this. You can see the MTVEC coming out of this. And what I'm really interested in is some of the control signals that come out of this thing, and one of them being this, and we'll get into that later. So let's move on this thing. So I want you to realize that these subroutines are essentially, these interrupts are essentially a subroutine initiated by an interrupt. So when we call a subroutine, what we need to do is store the return address and load the PC with the address of the subroutine, and then go to the subroutine. And then when I return from the subroutine, I'm going to take that stored return address and put it back into the PC. So I made these bullets exactly the same because they are the same. Okay, well, I get an interrupt, and what I'm going to do is that interrupt can come in anytime, executing any instruction. And what I want to do is take the address of the next instruction and store it in this register. Remember, this is one of the registers in that CSR module. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to take the address of the interrupt service routine, that's the ISR, and I want to put that into the PC. But what I did was I pre-stored that address as part of my program initialization into MTVEC. Okay, yeah, I process the ISR, which is just a subroutine, and then when I leave, I execute MRET. Okay, MRET does a couple things. Mainly, it takes that return address that I stored right here, and it puts it back into the PC, and that's how I get back to the PC. It's for every bullet on the right is analogous to the bullet on the left. It is essentially a subroutine. The hardware just handles it a little bit differently, knowing that when I receive an interrupt, that's going to be a assertion on that INTR pin on the microcontroller. A little bit more involved that we'll get into it, but that's really it. This is a subroutine call initiated by hardware. Okay, calls in general were done under program control. So we're going to crank through an example problem, and this problem is a problem where I want to toggle an LED. Okay, so essentially what it does is every time it receives an interrupt, okay, so that means every time this pin is asserted, it's going to toggle an LED. So if the LED is on, it's going to be turned off. If it's off, it's going to be turned on. What you have to assume is that some external device here is connected to this INTR input, and that's going to be occasionally generating an interrupt which causes the LED to toggle. So we're not going to really look at that directly. We're just going to pretend like there's something out there. So this is the issue of the interrupt pin. The interrupt pin is connected almost directly to the state machine here, but it is connected to this AND gate. So this signal right here, it can be a 1 or a 0, all right? Well, when that signal is a 0, that this interrupt signal is never going to make it through this gate. So what I have right away, I have the ability under program control to tell the microcontroller to ignore interrupts, because once again, if this line right here is a 0, this signal right here, which is the external interrupt signal, it's this signal right here, is never going to make it to the state machine, so it's never going to be acted upon. Okay, so there's a little bit of control. It's coming out of the CSR a status register. It's actually a single bit in that register. So this is our new state machine. It includes an interrupt cycle, and essentially what's going to happen is I can go into the interrupt cycle. Okay, the interrupt cycle is everything that it's just it's one state. You can see it there is one state where everything that needs to be done to process the interrupt is done in hardware. Okay, so there's only one state because that in that one state we can do everything that needs to be done to set up to go into the interrupt. If we couldn't do that, we could add extra states for the interrupt. Okay, so what this means is this still is looks like the old state machine. You see the fetch and execute and the write back and the load and all that stuff. But what it's going to do is this. So the interrupt pin here is connected to external hardware, so it's considered asynchronous. That interrupt can come in anytime. Okay, what that means to us is that we are, the processor's moving along, kicking along, executing instructions. That interrupt can come in at any time. And so what we don't want it to do is, stop what we're doing right in the middle of an instruction and handle it. But what we choose to do, which everyone does this, is that we finish the instruction we're executing before we handle the interrupt. And that's what this timing diagram, this is the state diagram shows, is that, okay, so I get to the execute state. Well, it's not a load, and there's an interrupt, so I'm going to go into the interrupt state. Okay, the interrupt may already be there in this execute state, but if it's a load instruction, I got to finish the instruction, so I'm going to go to the write back state. Okay, from the write back state, if there is an interrupt, I go to the interrupt state. If there's no interrupt, not a big deal, I go back to the fetch state. Okay, so there's a couple of ramifications of this that we'll talk about later, but the idea here is what you want to take away from this is the interrupt signal up here is connected to some external device that does not share necessarily the same clock, so it can come in asynchronously. Even if it does share the same clock, we've got instructions that are executed on multiple clock cycles. And so it could come in on one of these clock cycles where it's not done. So it's just considered asynchronous, and you got to deal with it. But once again, I can come in anytime. I finish the instruction I'm executing before I process the interrupt. So the interrupt-driven programs have similar structure to what you've seen before. Look, you got to do a bunch of initialization stuff. There's which we've been doing a lot anyway, but now there's some special initialization stuff for the interrupts, and then the rest of the code is broken up into the main task and the background task. We'll say the main code and the ISR code. Okay, the main code is the background task or the main task, and the ISR code is the foreground task or the interrupt service routine. It goes by different names. Or this can be actually the interrupt handler as well. So it's a little bit of semantic memorization on this thing, but I want to keep my programs very structured, and if I know I'm dealing with interrupts, I want to do everything up front and divide it up between the main code and the interrupt interrupt code, and you'll see that come up soon. So this is the magic program that I use all the time to explain interrupts on this thing, and the issue here. I'm sorry, I got to get a drink here. This is just a basic program, interrupt-driven program that does everything. And if this is on your cheat sheet as well, when I have to do interrupt-driven program, I always go right to this. I understand what this does, so I use it as a kind of a template. I cut out what I don't need and I add what I do need. And so let's see. Let's step through this. And what you see here is I'm going to say kind of sort of the instructions in red are kind of the new instructions. So there's four new instructions you got to use for this. And let's do it. Okay, so very first instruction here. I think I'm going to change colors. Ink color. I need ink color. We'll go with green. Okay, so very first thing I do here is I am going to put the address of the interrupt service routine into one of those CSR registers. Okay, what's going to happen is if we want to get an interrupt, it's going to automatically go to that. The hardware is going to force it to automatically go to the address of that subroutine. So I got to take the address of interrupt subroutine, put it in an empty vec CSR register. And this is a vectored interrupt. That's what the vector VEC stands for. Okay, so the idea here is LSR. It's going to take this address of this instruction right here, put it in X6, and then store that in this empty vec register. That's one of the registers in the CSR unit. This program uses the flag for a certain reason, so I initialize the flag. It writes the LEDs, so certainly I'm going to put them in a known state. But then I'm ready. I've got everything ready, and then I need to turn the interrupts on. Okay, so turning the interrupts on is going to be a single bit in that CSR status register, and the picture is going to come up next on this thing. But what I'm doing here is enabling the interrupts, which is known as unmasking them. If the interrupts are masked, they're going to be ignored. But what I'm doing here is I'm writing a 1 to that register with this instruction. And once I do that, this is the bit that feeds into that AND gate, and it's going to enable that AND gate. So this is you can read this, CSR read and set. What I'm really interested in, this S here, it's actually going to set a bit. The bit it's going to set is described by this value in X10. This is bit 8 or whatever, 8, which is the third bit over from the right, and you'll see that coming up next also. So what I do after that point is I end up in this tight little subroutine here, not a subroutine, it's a tight loop. Nothing happens. Nothing happened until X8 is going to be set, which is my flag register. Okay, X8 cannot be set unless I get an interrupt. Okay, so I'm stuck here until I get an interrupt. When I get an interrupt, the hardware is going to send me down here. It's going to do some important stuff, like really set this flag, which is going to break me out of this loop right here, and then it's going to do some other stuff, which I'll talk about in a second. Okay, well, it's worth talking about. But what I'm going to do in this subroutine is I don't, it's kind of a problem-specific issue, but what I'm doing is I want to return from these interrupts with the interrupts masked. So that being the case here, there's a bit in there I need to clear. So this is CSR read and clear. The bit I need to clear is just described by this right here. And let's see, and then essentially that's it. Okay, so when I return from interrupts, what I've done here is ensure that when I return from interrupts, the interrupts are masked, which means they're disabled. Okay, so when I return from interrupt, I'm going to execute this mret, which is different from a return, of course, and it's very analogous to return, but the mret is going to take the value of the instruction that was going to be executed had I not got an interrupt, and it's going to put that in the PC, and we'll see that come up later. Okay, so whatever, I come up here, then I do, since I set that flag, this is going to fail. It's going to drop through to here. I'm going to toggle the interrupt, and then I'm going to clear that flag, which keeps me in this tight loop here, and then I'm going to re-enable the interrupt sitting right here. Okay, and this, once again, you've seen this instruction before. It's setting a particular bit. Okay, this one cleared a bit, this one set a bit. And these instructions, there's 4 instructions here. CSR-RW read write, CSR-RS is CSR read set, this is a CSR read clear, and this is the mret. These are the 4 last instructions you need to implement. Well, I'm going to call it this part 2 and call it done, and then we'll come back to this in a second.